Welcome to Confirmation Bias, presented by the League Ambassadors.
I'm Ambassador Kenny Ken, and in the 2018 NBA Draft, the Mamas have stolen the show, and that's my confirmation bias.
I'm Ambassador Junior Blue, and I want to shout out PK Subban, the Nashville Predators defenseman who got the cover of NHL 19, and that's my confirmation bias.
I'm Ambassador Dad, and if you're not watching The Handmaid's Tale, you don't care about America. That is truly art imitating life.
Hashtag Gilead.
And that's my confirmation bias.
I'm Redo, and indigent and indigenous are not the same thing. And that's my confirmation bias.
Wow, and I'm Ambassador Chef Curry. If a former McDonald's All-American, an 8-time All-Star, 3-time Defensive Player of the Year, and the only player to average a double-double for the first 14 years of their career since Wilt Chamberlain was a free agent, you would want him on your team. But if I told you his name was Dwight Howard, no, you wouldn't. And that's my confirmation bias.
Welcome to Confirmation Bias, hosted by the League Ambassadors. As a reminder, please check us out across all social media platforms on our handle at The League AM, as well as our website, theleagueam.com, where you can find all of our content, as well as our flagship NFL podcast, 32 Kings Road, and our Blogspot diplomatic community, where you, the fan, can drop your bars and spit your hot fire as it pertains to the world of sports. If those of you who are watching us on Facebook Live, please share the feed. Also, please remember to send any questions or comments to us so we can attempt to address them at the end of our show in our segment, Diplomatic Immunity. Please download Confirmation Bias, and please subscribe anywhere you listen to podcasts. And also remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel under the banner League Ambassadors. This is episode 57. We've got a lot of basketball to talk about today. A lot of our conversations today will revolve around the draft, which is going on right at this moment. So we'll take a couple of angles on that, and we'll also take a quick look at an alcoholic pill-popping champion of youth sports. And without further ado, Junior Blue, what it do?
Well, let's get to hot topic.
I think you might want to clarify it's not you.
Pill popping alcoholic. So let's get that out the way.
I couldn't ask for a better introduction to that man.
All right, let's get to hot topics and get past that. Like Dev said, the NBA draft is going on right now. The first round, the Lakers just took Moritz Wagner at 25. I don't think anybody in this room is happy about that.
I like that pick. I like Wagner.
Because you're not a Laker fan. But my question to my question to Kev is, what changes would you make to the draft to make it, it seems like it's a little backwards. Whereas...
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, whereas, you have free agency coming up July 1st, you have people who are drafted that if trades were to happen, they couldn't even be announced until after July.
Yeah, and I didn't really think about it until this morning that the NBA, of course, has their draft before free agency when compared to the NFL, who it's hard to say that the NFL is getting something right, actually, over the NFL is getting it right over the NBA. But I think that they should take the approach that the NFL has and actually have the draft after free agency, because it gives teams a better chance to draft what they need or what they couldn't get in the open market. And I thought about it, especially as, a team like Cleveland, whose free agency is obviously going to impact them in the next couple of weeks. that approaching the draft, how do you go after a player? How do you target what a need is when you're not even sure if the guys who were on your roster a week ago are going to be there? And I think that helps the NFL teams in a way that, okay, you go after that free agent need, that wide receiver, and if you can't get them, then you know, okay, then I must need our top priority come draft time is that position we couldn't address in free agency. So I think the NBA should consider that moving forward to make things a little bit easier on teams, knowing how large free agency impacts the future of a franchise in the NBA more so than any other league. And I'm just going to kick it to Dev because I know he had some more input on changes that the league could make in terms of this time of year.
Well, I just thought it was interesting that so free agency is July 1st. In about 2 or 3 weeks, they're already going to start playing in summer league ball. So if you took that approach, being as though the season just ended a week and a half or so ago, and if it would have went longer, it had really just ended. I don't know how they could change that, being as though the season starts in late October. They start getting training camps, early in September. Like, when would they have the chance to do that? I mean, is it okay that those summer leagues start this early?
Which leads to something else that they are talking about, which is just changing the schedule, period. Players are already complaining that this season is too long anyway. Yeah. So if you started the season a little bit later,
right,
that could go to sort of addressing that issue. I would think of it in a different way, though. And the reason why I'm not that mad at it the way that it is now is because you do have fewer spots on a basketball team. And at the end of the day, if you're in a situation like Cleveland, which we'll get into what their pick was, you just take the best player available, I think. I think you can never have enough talent on your team. And if you need to make moves so that pieces can fit in terms of roster spacing, then you go ahead and you do that. But you always take the best player available, because if you do that, that player is going to have value.
Well, my question is, though, even though they play 82 games and the NFL plays 16, the schedule is about the same. It's still a 6-month season.
Mm-hmm.
So why is there such a disparity where you have free agency in March for the NFL, but their draft is in April, and they still have all this time in between to make those decisions? If they were to flip-flop it, how much further could you push the NBA up? Like, what?
Correct. Which is why
the playoffs too damn long?
Well, correct. No, I don't think it's the playoffs too long. I mean, I hear not necessarily this group, but you hear a lot of people that are fans of the NBA say, I don't really pay attention to the NBA until after the All-Star break anyway. So I think the real solution is really just shortening the season anyway. And I think if you shorten the season, if you started it later, say started it in November or December, now you have more time to make roster moves. And then if you wanted to flip-flop it, you could go ahead and do that. And I think that would be the only solution.
The NBA giving up money. It's not happening.
Right.
Only thing I can see is maybe shortening the preseason. But I don't see them shortening.
You got to evaluate.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is what has always been a part of that conversation is shortening the season and then extending the playoffs, making the playoffs more exciting, making it more interesting, whether that is play-in games, whether that is extending how many teams actually make it into the playoffs.
Playoffs are already 2 months,
they playoffs are long.
It's almost 2 months long.
But they're also, like, there's no room for, there's no real room for upsets, because they've made it so that every series is a 7-game series, right? And so in a 7-game series, I think there are a few truisms in sports. One of the main truisms is that in a 7-game series in basketball, the best team is always going to win short of an injury. So if you did sort of a round robin play in, these are some of the things that they're talking about, maybe it would make the playoffs more exciting and make it more compelling. And these are games that would actually then matter.
Do you think they should go back to the 5-game in the first round?
I think so.
That was the last time we saw an upset. I still remember Dikembe Mutombo
laying on the ground,
holding the ball like he was Simba.
Yeah, Golden State. Who was it? Dallas? Golden State beat?
Aaron Davis,
2006 or something like that.
Yeah.
5 or 7.
Again, they're not letting that money go.
Yeah.
They're not. No, they're not.
Okay, what do you guys think of the one and done rule being changed?
I'm all for it. I think it's a complete farce to begin with. It should be done away with. You can't blame the kids for coming out too early, and you also can't stop an adult from making an adult decision. What I mean by that is These kids are young or old enough to go to war and die for this country, but they can't choose their profession. I think the onus, and I've always said this on whatever show we have, is the scouting. If you're dumb enough to pick that player off of potential and then there's a bust, that's on you. That's not on the kid. So I think the G League way is important. Follow the minor league system in baseball. Give these kids a chance to earn some money. It'll potentially stop some of the fuckery that's going on in the NCAA. They're still going to do it. But I think that should definitely be the way to go.
So it shouldn't be 2 and done?
I think it should be, you can figure out
Some
whatever
of
the hell
these
you want to do.
goddamn players need to go for 2 years.
Right. But I also think, and this will probably never happen, but I think if you come straight out of high school and you get drafted by a team and you're relegated to their G League affiliate or whatever, if you don't pan out and you can see that this ain't about that life, you should have the opportunity to go back and go to school.
See, that's another thing.
I mean,
they're not going to do that.
you have the opportunity to go back and go to school. You just don't have the opportunity to go back and play.
Well, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Or
Then
them
that
pay
would-
for it.
They would have to change all the rules at that point.
Yeah.
because you went pro.
I think that
You
the
haven't got paid yet.
I think the NBA has done a good job when
In
they
the G League, you getting
Yeah.
paid.
I'm talking about if you go and it's like what their version of preseason, whatever, and it's like, damn, I'm not ready for this.
They would have to change everything because if they were drafted in the first round, you're slotted into pay scales.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's scouting. But if you're drafted and then you're relegated into the G League, that would be a later round pick or a second round pick, or these kids that potentially go undrafted. You see what I mean? Like if you're gonna take a top 15 pick, that's damn near the lottery. Like, of course you playing because we paying your ass. But I think that depending on where you get slotted, then that should change the conversation.
see. I think
based on all the scandals that come out with NCAA, something has to be done. Whether it's just through the NBA or through the NFL, those scandals are running rampant, and it's only a matter of time before players start taking their powers into their own hands. And like Devin said, either deciding to forego college overall, maybe go overseas is an option we've seen a few players do. But something does need to change.
2 things. I would go the other way. One, it shouldn't matter where you get drafted. If you're not ready to play in the NBA, that's what the G League is for. I think that the NBA, while they have gone back to this, while they reversed or they took away the one and done rule, that the kids being able to come in out of high school, they've done a good job, to Omar's point, of protecting their investment, because you're starting to see, for example, today I believe LeVar Ball has started the Junior Ball Association. Like, you if you don't do something about giving these kids an opportunity to make money, then you're going to have people coming in trying to encroach on your product or get at your money. So while they have suspended the rule, it was the D League, then it turned into the G League, and now they've got the 2-way contract. So they have done a good job in terms of setting up the infrastructure so that they can now open up the floodgates again and say, hey, if you want to come in and make money, now we have different options for you besides just sitting on a roster and taking up the end of a bench.
Because I think if correct me if I'm wrong, but if you decide not to go to college, you can go play in the G League now, right?
Yes.
Correct. Yes.
Yes. So like you can forego the draft and just go play in the G League if you're under 19?
You're undrafted, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, I still don't understand why that's not more popular than
Because they're getting paid when they go to college. That's why.
Well, because it's just, that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. I mean, that's kind of my point, is they're just now, within the last literally year or two, they're just now developing and have the infrastructure set up to accommodate those players that basically say, I just want to play ball. And whether I'm good enough to make it on the pros or if I'm not, I'm getting paid to play, basketball.
because that is definitely an alternative to crossing the pond and going far away from your family in a foreign land.
That's right.
What about in this year's draft? Do you guys have any sleepers or any people you think is gonna be a bust?
Wagner. Sleeper.
Sleep.
If he play, I mean, Wagner was cool. I do like Wagner.
Purple
I do like his game. I just wanted somebody else. So I mean, if he plays well, he would be a sleeper. I think the biggest bust for me, a bust is somebody that's drafted in the top 10 that's not going to do well. It's Mo Bamba. Combination of a bad situation. Orlando clearly doesn't know how to develop big men. They've got 3 big men there already. 4 actually, if you count Aaron Gordon, but Jonathan Isaac, Bismack Biyombo, and Vucevic.
Is Aaron restricted?
Sound like the United Nations.
Yeah, he's a restricted.
He's
free agent.
restricted.
He's a restricted free agent who they're going to bring back. And then I would say another bust would be Jerome Robinson, who the Clippers took at 13. I think that was an overdraft. They took him too early. Sleepers, Kevin Werder, who Atlanta took. I think great shooter out of Maryland. Kevin, you've seen him play.
Rocket.
Yeah. And then Michael Porter. I mean,
Actually, he could be a bust.
yeah, he's
If his back is not healthy, he's a bust.
or is he just hurt?
Same team. All right, time for Black vs. Blue, our antonym segment. First up, since we on the NBA, we'll stay with the NBA. With the offseason coming, will this NBA offseason change the landscape of the NBA? Is it hope or hype that the landscape will change?
I think the NBA hopes so. I think they can feel the pressure with this predetermined outcome that has been going on for the last 4 years.
I think the fact that nobody has money except for a couple teams, people trying to clear up cap space, meaning people they overpaid, like let's say a John Wall, Bradley Beal, they could be on the move. LeBron's a free agent, Paul George's a free. I mean, you have legitimate superstars who are free agents who have talked about moving teams. It's hard to see the landscape not change.
Kevin talked about it in his confirmation bias. I mean, Dwight Howard's the first domino to fall, and I think 2 weeks from now we will forget that Dwight Howard is actually a free agent because of all the movement that's going to happen. He's $23 million. Yeah, $23 million. He's negotiating a buyout with Brooklyn. He's going to be out there, and he's, I think, an interesting chess piece on the board. So, yeah, absolutely.
We'll see him in Golden State.
Wow.
Dwight's gonna be working where I work in a minute.
And just so I'm not
With
the
all
only
them
one
child
pissed
support
off,
payments.
the fucking Celtics chose Robert Williams with the 27th pick.
Kevin, grab it quick.
Foreshadowing.
Kevin, you were saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm hopeful because, like you said, you want to kind of change the landscape with the NBA in the last four finals. But come to think of it, to me, it all depends on if LeBron switched coasts. But then at the same time, let's say he goes west and he's on a team that can't beat the Warriors, then we're basically stuck with where we are now with the Celtics and the 76ers being the teams up and coming in the East. Someone check on Kenyon. And in the West, it's still probably going to be Golden State and Houston if they keep their top two guys intact. So it's tough. I just hope that these players make the decisions to make teams better so we can actually have some type of uncertainty when the playoffs come.
I can't stand Boston. Jesus Christ. All
Hashtag fuck new edition.
For real.
Moving on, man. With the draft today, is it a hit or flop that we will get a future, that this draft will produce a future NBA star or multiple?
Man, it's a flop, bro. Every year we say the same shit, and every year the same things happen. Few players live up to their expectations. Last year, there's only 2 Hogs that came out the draft so far. It's a flop.
I mean, but even with 2, that's saying that you got 2 stars. I mean, Donovan Mitchell came out as a star, and he was a rookie.
I mean, he's a star.
He is a
He's
star.
Yeah.
So if
But the year before that and the year before that, like, that's
I
what
mean,
I'm
you
saying.
had Ben Simmons. I mean,
Yo,
I mean, every
space.
year there's somebody who comes out who plays.
you got to snap out of it, dog.
If anybody, I would like to see Doncic succeed just because he's a former player, he's a young cat that's saying he's got the hype that people gave Ricky Rubio that never quite materialized. But I think because of his size, his skill set, he's not the most athletic, but his skill set, he can pretty much do everything on the court. I would like to see him succeed. I just hope he's in the right position to do so.
I don't want to talk about basketball anymore. Can we please change the subject?
It's the wrong show for that, brother.
Oh, man.
Despondent is the word. All right, let's quickly move on to the Mr. Pill Popper. So, is it newsworthy or nothing to see here that bitch ass Brett Favre initiated a campaign to end tackle in youth football? And I'm a Chicago Bear fan. That's why I don't like his ass.
Go ahead.
I think it's newsworthy because Man,
Yo, hurt.
it's newsworthy because Brett Favre is he's a formidable opponent for the NFL. And so for him, if he goes about it the right way, and so apparently I guess the way that this was borne out, there was state legislation, I forgot which state it was, that was it was Illinois, that was trying to outlaw effectively tackle football for
under 12.
Kids under the age of 12. And basically Brett's comment was, that's nice, but we need to get it done at the federal level.
Yep.
And so this will be interesting if this is a cause that he's serious about. He's got a big enough voice. He's got a big enough
serious
following.
when he goes to rehab.
Okay. The man's clean.
Yeah, okay.
And he's actually coaching high school kids.
Exactly.
Right, but that's not 12.
He shouldn't.
Oh.
It's newsworthy to me. Because think about how the NFL treated Brett Favre when he was playing. I mean, he was their Mr. Incredible.
That's right.
Now that he's gone, he's become, like you said, he's now the antithesis of the NFL, because he goes from being your hero to now your hero's beaten, battered, and bruised, and now talking about how this sport has impacted his life once he's done and how he doesn't want to see that happen to kids coming up. If people take Brett serious and don't think that he's the pill-popping alcoholic that we know he really is, and he means it from the bottom of his heart.
Oh my God.
It's a bad look,
you
bro.
guys are impugning this man.
It's definitely newsworthy. I mean, he definitely has the credentials and the big name.
And the skin color.
Don't
Don't forget that.
Juneteenth was 2 days ago. We never want to forget. So, yeah, I mean, he's the NFL's Iron Man, 297 straight games.
Exactly.
Taking those beatings. He knows about it.
It's
100%.
Definitely, if he's serious about this, it's definitely going to be something worth monitoring for sure.
In all honesty, it depends on how much he's willing to invest his time into this. But there are going to be a lot of roadblocks. I mean, there are states where no one wants to hear that shit. He can't go to Texas and talk that shit. He can't. Like, there's places where they will run him out of town regardless of who the hell he is. Like, nobody want to hear that.
I mean,
So he has
Joe Torres.
I mean, it's newsworthy to me because I have a personal struggle. I have a 4-year-old son who, I go back and forth on, do I want him playing tackle football at 8 years old? Mm-hmm. I also have a godson who's now in high school, and he played since he was 7, played tackle. Mm-hmm. So, the more and more you hear reports about CTE, you have a higher percentage chance of getting it if you started at an early age. It makes me think, what's the real point of having them start before 12?
I mean, I
to get used to getting hit. That's the thing.
Well, so I have a nephew he played tackle at 8. He's 10 now. He plays flag. His mother, my sister, is not going to let him play again until he hits 8th grade, which I believe will put him at 13. Drew Brees is one of those big flag football proponent. He said that, his kids aren't playing tackle until they hit 12, 13. There is the legitimate concern of, or the perspective that you do want them to get used to contact. I believe high school is, unless you have a physically gifted child, I believe high school is too late to sort of introduce them to contact.
That's your first. Even maybe 8th grade might be pushing it a little bit too much.
Yeah, but
depends on you. I mean, I think I played, my first tackle football was 8th grade, but I was small as shit, but
yeah.
It depends.
It'll be interesting. That's definitely an interesting fight to watch.
It would actually be a good fight to watch because of the nature of the sport and how people view it.
All right, is you with it or not? Our debate segment. We've got Ambassador Chef Curry going up against Ambassador Junior Blue. These debates always are very compelling, very interesting. So,
anybody have a coin?
This is interesting. Yeah, somebody have a coin?
Maybe.
I do.
I do not.
I do not.
While they're getting the coin, we'll figure out the toss.
I do. I got one.
Our topic is about Mr. Kawhi Leonard. And this
Come
team.
on, Ken.
This team, specifically, and as you know, we've been following it here in the news, Kawhi Leonard, San Antonio Spurs. This has been a season-long story. It's now at the point where Kawhi Leonard has communicated to the Spurs that he does not want to be there. His preference is to go to the Los Angeles Lakers. No one here believes that San Antonio is really going to comply with that. And so we have a situation where a team like the Boston Celtics, and we'll focus on them specifically, have an opportunity here to get a key piece. And between them and I would say the Philadelphia 76ers can make the most compelling offer for Kawhi Leonard. The question for the debate or the topic for the debate is, what exactly should the Boston Celtics do? Should they sacrifice some of their young pieces? They have the Sacramento's protected to the one pick for next year that they could offer, as well as their own first-round pick, and they have a plethora of young players. Should they go in for Kawhi Leonard, or should they pass? I will go to Junior Blue. You call it in the air, heads or tails?
Tails.
Tails.
I'm going for they should trade for him.
They should trade for him.
Yep.
And Kevin, do you want to go first, or do you want Les to go first? I don't think anybody has ever.
Omar did.
Les should indeed go first.
Les.
Whenever you're ready.
All right, so the Celtics should trade for Kawhi Leonard. Of course, that's under the assumption that he's healthy, which should come out during the physicals. He's a two-time Defensive Player of the Year. In 2017, he averaged 26 points a game, making him the #1 two-way player in the league. Now let's discuss where the Celtics are right now. They went to Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals without Kyrie Irving or Gordon Hayward. So they're on the path of playing in the NBA Finals. They have young talent in Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Rozier, and also draft picks that they fleeced from other teams over the last couple of drafts.
Fleeced.
The price for Kawhi will be lower than it should be, honestly, because he's telling everybody, I want to be in Los Angeles. Basically, he wants to be a Laker. So a package of Jaylen Brown, the Sacramento Kings pick from next year, should be able to get the job done, which would field a team of Kyrie Irving, Gordon Hayward, Kawhi Leonard, Jason Tatum, and Al Horford. And that team can contend with the Warriors. And that's what we're actually truly talking about. Who can beat the Warriors? That's how you're building a team now. And that package should get it done. Possibly winning a championship, at very least making the finals, will make it very hard for Kawhi to leave. Look, there's rumors that Paul George wants to stay in OKC, and they got bounced in the first round. So imagine what a championship and a finals appearance would do for Kawhi Leonard and the Celtics.
Kevin?
Okay.
All right.
Whenever you
Amateur
start,
hour's over.
whenever you start talking, I'll time, Kev.
I got to break our tie, so here we go. Get it cranking. I think the Celtics should indeed pass on Kawhi Leonard, not just because that was a topic I was forced to debate. But without their two best players, like Les mentioned, they were one win away from the NBA Finals last year. And in order to get Kawhi, they would have to give up promising talent like Jaylen Brown, Terry Rozier, probably another piece to get him. And I don't think Kawhi is worth that based on what we know about him right now. And what do we know about him right now? Absolutely nothing. Seriously, what do any of us really know about Kawhi Leonard? Is he even healthy? He sat out basically all last season and didn't play in the playoffs because he wasn't comfortable after being cleared by the team's doctors. What does Kawhi really want? I know his Uncle Dennis seems to be behind his decision-making, but can anyone say with certainty that they know what Kawhi wants to accomplish and what he wants his career to be? Does anyone even know what Kawhi's voice sounds like? Because I don't. For all we know, he could open his mouth and sound like Gilbert Gottfried. And I wouldn't want that guy being the face of my franchise. So, look, I mean, wherever Kawhi goes this summer, he still has the ability to not commit to you after next year. So why risk a promising future, which you have right now, on an unknown like Kawhi? And if you look in history, championship Celtics teams over the last 35 years or so have always had a variety of great players, not just one. And they've always relied on their depth. And there are too many unknowns right now with Kawhi, as I mentioned, to risk losing the potential, the cohesiveness, the true team atmosphere that you already have. You see how Kawhi's veteran teammates in San Antonio responded to him. So how do you think a younger team in Boston would respond to a guy like that coming to their roster? And last but not least, if you can see from Kenyon's reaction today, Boston's draft and then add the fact that they have 4 number 1 picks, 4 first-round picks next year. Fuck Kawhi Leonard. Nah, bro, I'm good. We don't need him.
All right.
It's on me.
Ambassador Dad, you've heard the arguments. What say you?
Yeah, my thought process with Boston when we had this discussion on the postmortem is that we don't know what they look like. Truly, I'd like to see them run that back. They got so close. I give it to Kev. I agree. I think that you're that close. Why mess with it? And he's been a malcontent, and we don't know what that motherfucker's capable of coming back from this. So I say you don't make the move.
You don't trust nobody with straight backs in 2018.
He hasn't been a malcontent. He just started that.
Yeah.
But the one thing I disagree with Les was Jaylen Brown and the pick getting it done.
Hold up. If they think he's going to the Lakers next year, that'll get it done.
Nah, they're going to need something. They got too many picks and they got too many players. They're going to need something else.
No, I think with the power with him saying, I want to go to LA and them communicating to teams that he is going to be a free agent is it does depress further the market that San Antonio would create for him. So it may be that something like Jaylen. The question is, would it be Jaylen Brown? I don't even think it would go that far. I think they would do Marcus Smart and a pick.
Hey, Kev, do we have anything in diplomatic immunity before we get out of here? Anything draft related?
We do not, but I would like to know, where do you guys think Kawhi will play next season?
Oh, it ain't nowhere in the West.
Yeah.
San Antonio.
I think they're going to do him like the Lakers did Kobe. You're not going to Chicago. You're not going where you want to go. You're going to stay here. We're going to work this out.
I know what you're talking about. That never happened.
I think Philadelphia. I think Philadelphia is
where it
probably
goes.
in the lead now, especially with the trade that they did tonight, where they got Zaire Smith, a young athlete that they don't really need. They traded Mikal Bridges. I would look for Philadelphia to actually be the place where he goes in the East. They have draft picks. They've got young players. Sarich, Covington can make the money work. A coach that knows him, and Brett Brown. That would be probably my guess.
Well,
That was my first debate win of the year, guys. Thank you. Appreciate it.
well, we will definitely know more in about 2 weeks' time.
Right.
And that's a good place for us to wrap it up. Let's get on up out of here. Thank you for visiting us on Confirmation Bias. Again, our handle is at The League AM across all social media. Website is theleagueam.com. Please check out Diplomatic Immunity and talk your shit. Drop some bars on us on our website so we can post that. And remember to share and subscribe to Confirmation Bias. Liking is cool, but sharing is caring. Laker fans, it's okay. See you Tuesday.
That's strike one, Magic and Robert.